This phone needs no introduction. The OnePlus Nord has been hyped a lot, and if the views on our videos are any indication, then this is definitely the most anticipated phone of 2020. But I'm going to try to cut through all that hype and find out if you should make that purchase decision and pick up the OnePlus Nord. Well, I'm Ashar from Mr. Phone, and let's get down to my in-depth review of the OnePlus Nord. Alright, before we move on, I always have a very humble request of you guys. If you like the kind of videos that we're making, it will help us if you hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. Also, we're building communities over at Telegram and Instagram, links to which should be in the description below. Let's get the basic function of a smartphone out of the way, calling. The OnePlus Nord's call quality and microphone performance is top notch. Not once did the phone drop connection on my Airtel 4G SIM in Delhi NCR. I almost always got 4 bars of network coverage, plus Airtel's Vio Wi-Fi also worked without a hiccup. And I got carrier aggregation on the 4G network as well. So it is safe to say that Nord has no issues with calling or 4G performance. Interestingly, similar to how OnePlus has taken note of user demand and made a re-entry into the mid-range segment, Airtel seems to have a new zero complaint promise as well. The idea here is that the company is trying to address every single complaint that it gets and of course attempting to bring that number down to zero. That is quite a tall ask. And along with the Nord, where I have zero complaints about call quality, even Airtel's network was mostly zero complaints for me because I generally got excellent network on 4G on this phone, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Although your mileage could vary based on the city you're living in. I also ran a bunch of speed tests and I got a download speed of at least 12 Mbps and an upload speed of a minimum of 8 Mbps on the 5 back-to-back test runs that I performed on the Nord with my 4G SIM. Thanks to the presence of Snapdragon 765 inside the OnePlus Nord, you get support for 5G. But unfortunately, there's no support for 5G in our country at the moment. The Spectrum auction hasn't happened yet. And the only band that the OnePlus Nord supports in India is currently the N78 band. Now, we did ask OnePlus about this and they mentioned that currently only this band is supported primarily because they're expecting this band to go up on the Spectrum auction whenever it goes live in India. So I guess we'll have to wait and watch. As for the design, I have already waxed eloquent about what I think of the OnePlus Nord in my first impressions. Essentially, I really like the blue marble color and the feel of the phone in my hand. That's mostly because of the curved rear and the excellent distribution of the 184 grams all across the length and the breadth of the design. Not once did the phone feel like it'll topple out of my hands. By the way, the front and the back are protected by Corning's Gorilla Glass 5 solution, but what irks me the most about the design is the plastic frame. It looks cheap and takes the sheen away from the otherwise premium package. The other downsides of the Nord is there's no official IP rating or a headphone jack either. Moreover, the Type-C port at the bottom is of the USB 2.0 kind. This means you can't use a capture card directly to stream games. Also, there's no denying that the Nord looks very much like a Realme phone, mostly due to the vertical quad camera stack. However, it still looks distinctly OnePlus and I can't seem to pinpoint the reason why. And to be honest, this gorgeous blue marble shade is going to be the reason why a lot of people are going to pick up the OnePlus Nord in the first place. Although, I must admit, the prototype shown in MKBHD's video looks better than this phone. The Nord's 6.44-inch Fluid AMOLED display has a pretty good panel. The colors are extremely vibrant on the deep blacks of the display, especially in the vivid color profile. In fact, the display can do a max color gamut of DCI-P3 at 100%, which is very good. If you want a more accurate color temperature, you can go for the natural profile. There's a pre-installed screen protector on the phone and a case inside the box. The screen protector is not very good if you ask me. I removed it in an instant. A lot of you had questions around the display's brightness levels. Well, it can go up to 500 nits in normal mode and auto brightness can trigger the high brightness mode to go up to 700 nits. And when the display demands it while playing HDR content, it can go up to 1000 nits in certain areas where you need more light. Essentially, you won't really have a problem with viewing it outdoors. Plus, the Nord's display is great for watching videos on streaming platforms such as Netflix, Prime and Hotstar. And I got buffer-free playback on my Airtel 4G. And let's not forget that you get the fluid 90Hz refresh rate as well. Coupled with the improved 180Hz touch sampling rate, the touchscreen experience is great too. Then there's a speedy in-display fingerprint scanner which unlocks in a jiffy. And of course, the fairly good linear motor that does a satisfactory job with haptic feedback. Almost everything about the display in this price range is good, so I had to check if there are any issues with black crush or green tint on the panel, similar to the experience of many folks on the OnePlus 8 Pro. And I'm happy to report that the display is near blemish free. But yes, if I had to pinpoint a problem, it would have to be the auto brightness setting. It is very aggressive and tends to reduce the brightness a lot. Super conservative coding if you ask me. Also, for some odd reason, I cannot view Netflix videos in full screen mode as the app hasn't been optimized yet. In fact, this is true for a lot of other apps as well. To sum it up, I can say this with a fair bit of confidence that the OnePlus Nord has one of the best, if not the best, display on a smartphone under Rs 30,000. Coming to the cameras on the Nord, I have a very detailed comparison of the phone against the OnePlus 8 and the 8 Pro. You must go check it out to get an idea of how the Nord performs. I'll just summarize those findings for you now. The 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 camera is very good at capturing details when you serve it with ample light. The quality of pictures are as good as the OnePlus 8. The color accuracy is not as good as the OnePlus 8 Pro though. The dynamic range performance, despite using an inferior ISP, is almost as good as the OnePlus 8 and only slightly worse than the 8 Pro. However, the camera starts to struggle when you shoot indoors or in low light. The algorithm uses aggressive noise correction to smudge out the details. In low light, the nightscape mode works very hard to make the image brighter, but doesn't necessarily retain details or anything. Well, if you don't care to pixel peep, this will serve the purpose, I suppose. The ultra-wide angle camera is alright. It goes wider than the 8 and the 8 Pro, but don't expect similar levels of details or dynamic range performance because it's a low-res 8 megapixel camera anyway. Also, the barrel distortion correction could have been better in my opinion. You can also shoot ultra-wide images using the nightscape mode, but it is not very good. The less said about the 2 megapixel macro camera, the better. This is a pointless addition to pad up the specs. Don't get swayed by it. There's also the 5 megapixel depth camera. I don't know how it works, but it doesn't have any drastic effects on portraits. I got alright looking portraits and there were issues in edge detection and the faux blur in the background. In fact, I was also annoyed by the fact that the pictures looked so drastically different at 1x and 2x zoom. OnePlus needs to fix this in a software update. Coming to the selfie cameras on the front, the 32 megapixel shooter takes soft selfies. I mean, you get fairly accurate facial tones with sometimes the reds being lifted, but I would have really liked sharper pictures. Also, weirdly, the 32 megapixel snapper doesn't shoot pixel bin selfies in regular mode, but it does so in portrait mode. The 8 megapixel ultra wide can shoot 105-degree wide angle selfies. Again, the pictures could have been sharper. While the Nord can take okay photos, it excels in video recording actually. You can shoot up to 4K 30fps videos using the optically stabilized main camera and the ultra wide angle camera as well. The footage looks pretty good and stable as well. It doesn't have the high dynamic range of the OnePlus 8 Pro, but it will do for the price. However, the Nord beats even the OnePlus 8 Pro when it comes to shooting videos with the front camera. You can shoot excellent quality videos up to 4K 60fps with good sound recording using the front camera, but there's no EIS. You get EIS up to 4K 30fps video recording, which is good enough. Even the ultra wide angle front camera can shoot 4K 30fps videos with EIS if you want a wider frame. If you want a fairly affordable phone for vlogging on the go, you cannot go wrong with the OnePlus Nord. Overall, the camera stack on the Nord definitely requires some more fine tuning to actually exploit the full potential of the hardware inside the phone for photography, although videography is already excellent. The main reason why a lot of folks would be interested in buying the OnePlus Nord would be for the OxygenOS experience on top of Android 10. OnePlus's OxygenOS is second only to possibly Apple's iOS when it comes to hardware software optimization. Which is why, even on a 7 series chipset, OxygenOS and the optimization done to hundreds of animations makes the phone glide in daily usage. I honestly didn't face a single stutter during my usage, and unlike the OnePlus 7T, which was riddled with bugs at launch, I had a bug-free experience on the OnePlus Nord. Plus, there are no pesky ads in the system UI or notifications from first-party apps either. Now, there are a few tweaks on the Nord software experience that needs to be highlighted, so let's get down to that. You know what? Nord actually uses Google's CommSuite apps such as is Google Phone, Google Messages, Google Duo instead of OnePlus's very own Messages and Phone app. Don't worry, you can also record calls using Google's phone app, but it will inform the person on the other end. So no sneaky business. Now my question to OnePlus was, why use Google's CommSuite when you have your own in-house messages app and phone app that you've been working at your Hyderabad Research and Development Center for so long, tweaking the features and making it India specific. In fact, if OnePlus wanted to showcase its India specific software capabilities, then the Nord would have been the perfect phone for it, considering it's going to be more mainstream. Now I did ask OnePlus about this and they had a very vague answer where they said Google's apps have a smooth experience and that they wanted to unify the user experience for any user who's coming from a different platform or a different brand. Now that doesn't make sense to me, primarily because if somebody is coming from MIUI or Realme UI or One UI, they're not going to be exposed to Google's messaging app anyway. Moving on, you also get the Google Discover feed on the -1 page, which is an excellent move. And the one new feature that has been added exclusively to the Nord, so OnePlus can test the waters, is the direct share feature from the camera app. Once you take a picture, you can long press a thumbnail at the bottom to bring up the share options. Coupled with the haptic feedback, this was actually pretty useful and very intuitive. With all its customization options and the minimal design that you get with Oxygen OS, despite its minor niggles, this is the most refined UI out there. Granted, not everybody likes minimal experiences, and some people actually prefer that feature-rich MIUI like software experience. Having said that, if you use Oxygen OS once on a more affordable piece of hardware like the OnePlus Nord, I'm pretty sure that there's no going back from here. To top it off, OnePlus also assures 3 years of regular security updates and 2 years of assured Android software updates. Now let's suppose that you didn't know what chip was inside the OnePlus Nord and somebody gave you this phone and a OnePlus 8 to go alongside it. Now, without opening the settings page of PUBG or Call of Duty, would you be able to tell the difference in speed and smoothness of these two phones? Absolutely not. But when you place the phone right next to the Realme X2 Pro and open PUBG's game settings is when you realize the limitations of the Snapdragon 765G processor. You can currently play PUBG only on HD and high, whereas the Snapdragon 855 Plus toting Realme X2 Pro can go up to HDR and Extreme. So yeah, if you are a PUBG gamer, Nord is clearly not the phone for you. Anyway, if you want to take a look at the benchmark comparisons with similarly priced phones that are really powerful, then you can take a look at your screen right now. Although I've been playing Call of Duty Mobile extensively on the OnePlus Nord since I love the multiplayer experience more, and it has been a really smooth experience, to be entirely honest. No heating issues either. Add to that, OnePlus also adds the Fanatic mode for gaming without any interruptions. Now all of this is pointless if you don't have a stable 4G/Wi-Fi connection. I had no network instability while playing on Airtel's 4G and broadband connections on the Nord. I got a fairly low ping too. Makes sense considering it has the lowest latency among all the networks in India, according to a new OpenSignal report. As for the RAM management, there is no doubt that Oxygen OS is more aggressive for better battery performance, but you can definitely switch off all those optimizations if you want to squeeze more power. Now coming to the audio situation, there's only a single mono speaker at the bottom, but it is a super linear kind and therefore it sounds really good. Remember the Redmi K20 series also had a super linear driver for the speaker setup inside. Now the speaker can get loud, but most importantly it offers a detailed and spatial sound from the single driver unit at the bottom. Here's a test next to the OnePlus 8 Pro's stereo speakers. Obviously the 8 Pro is better, but this is just to see the difference. As for the missing headphone jack, I tried a couple of Type-C to 3.5mm adapters with it, and both had an inbuilt jack and both worked like a charm. Which means that pass-through adapters like OnePlus's very own pass-through adapter will work really fine, and I did test it out with the Snapdragon 765G's DAC inside, and it's pretty good. It's not bad at all. I did try a few TWS earphones and they all worked exceedingly well. The Nord can support up to LDAC codec and the sound quality is great using the Dirac audio setting. In fact, the equalizer and the predefined sound modes are pretty useful too. The 4115 mAh battery inside the Nord can easily last you a day with 90Hz refresh rate on. I got at least 5 hours and 50 minutes on many occasions, and that's good enough for most folks. If you drop the refresh rate, you should actually expect better battery life. Also, with Warp Charge 30T tech, you can charge this battery from 0 to 100 in 52 minutes. So yeah, I have no complaints here. The OnePlus Nord does not have the best design, the best battery, the best display, the best cameras, or even the best processor out there. And therefore, a lot of people might think that the OnePlus Nord is an overhyped piece of hardware. But you know what, holistically speaking, the sum of its parts is what makes the OnePlus Nord a very desirable smartphone. And coupled with the best software experience that you can find on any mid-range phone out there, this becomes Mr. Phone's new benchmark for how to make a good mid-range phone that gives you unrivaled usage experience. Now, obviously, there are very many good phones out there in the 20 to 30,000 price bracket. So let's just find out how the OnePlus Nord compares against the best ones out there. The first phone that comes to my mind is the Redmi K20 Pro. Till today, the compact design and the full screen, no distraction display makes this phone very attractive. Plus, you also get a more powerful processor on the Redmi K20 Pro. But the Nord beats it in software experience, camera performance, and battery charging experience. If you want a gaming phone, go for the K20 Pro. And if you want a great everyday all-rounder, the Nord is the one for you. The Realme X3 series is the newest in the X series, and these are very powerful phones. These are also possibly the closest to the Nord in terms of design and camera specs. Anyway, with the Snapdragon 855 Plus chip and the telephoto cameras on the X3 Super Zoom, you cannot overlook these phones right now. It is the best option right now for PUBG players. However, the Nord definitely has a far better display. Also, the Oxygen OS software experience with assured timely updates is better than Realme UI as well. The cameras, except for the telephoto on the X3 Super Zoom and possibly the night performance, are slightly better on the Nord owing to the exceptional video shooting chops. Realme definitely has cheaped out on the display but has hit the ball out of the park in many other areas. OnePlus doesn't do any major cost cutting like this though, and that's the Nord's biggest advantage. The Samsung Galaxy A51 is a surprise runaway hit. The biggest attraction is the design despite its polycarbonate body. And of course, the attractive camera setup and the great pictures that you can get out of it. But if you ask me, the Nord might catch up to the A51 on camera front, especially with its front camera's video recording quality. And most importantly, the Nord is better at performance, has a better display with its 90Hz refresh rate, and the software experience is more refined. The Realme X2 Pro is a slightly more expensive option compared to the Nord, but a lot of you guys wanted to know which one you should go for. Well, I will say it point blank, the X2 Pro is a better option. In fact, the phone is so good that it won our best budget flagship award last year, along with the OnePlus 7T. Go for the Nord only if you really love the Oxygen OS experience or want a phone for shooting videos using the front camera. In the meantime, you will also end up saving some money while you're at it. So that was my full in-depth review of the OnePlus Nord. I hope you guys liked the review. Do let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. And stay tuned to Mr. Phone for more comparisons because they're on their way. Well, until next time, this is Aishar from Mr. Phone signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.